next session at 2:30. You are here at the ATX. Hey, Lindsay. You're here at the ATX Aging and Innovation Summit, and we are in our 2:30 session. I'm going to call it speed dating. It's going to be pretty quick. So we've got 4 different innovative ideas or products that we're going to have presentations on. And so we're so excited that you guys have come back for this 2:30 session. I did just want to talk again just for a minute about Austin Up. And one of the things that we do is provide education. And one thing I haven't told you about is the education that we provided in job seeking for those who are over 50. That has been one of our passions this past couple of years. A lot of people over the age of 50 are looking for employment, and they're looking for helpful hints on how to get the job that they want. And our last speaker for the year is going to be Miles Wallace, and his topic is Job Seeking Sherlock. Finding the hidden jobs. So he'll talk on December 15th. He has about an hour presentation. He has presented before. His company has been very involved with Austin Up. They have been extremely important in getting the word out about alternative types of positions that are available for those who are over 50. His company name is Peak Performers. So I also wanted to talk about the sponsor of this particular session is Ryan Companies, and they believe the value of buildings they design, develop, finance, management, and construct is about more than dollars and cents. It's also about the value that they bring to people who use them and the communities that surround them. That's why they focus on the why, so we can give you the kind of life and vision to achieve the best possible outcome. As a national leader in commercial real estate services, they know that their customers are as unique as their projects. That's why day after day, they're driven to uncover their stories, to be inspired by what inspires them, to bring the right people to the table so we can collaborate on a deeper, more engaging level. Together, they will build something far more profound than the physical presence of a building. They build backdrops to life stories. At Ryan, our values, safety, integrity, respect, stewardship, family, excellence, and fun define their culture, and they shape and ignite the people who join their team. They are more than words in a mission statement. They are the inspiration that guides our decisions and shapes our beliefs that we offer something no one else can. In the end, your building is better, your experience working with us more enjoyable, your community is more vibrant, and your project site safer, all because we embrace our values every day. And that is Ryan. And they are one of our sponsors for this particular session. Thank you so much again. And our other sponsors are AARP. They are a major sponsor. Without them, we would not be doing this event. WellMed was one of our adopted sponsorees, as was Ryan, Cummings Home Team. And then our other sponsors were Oasis, Senior Advisors, Assisting Hands, Senior Resource, and Buckner Village. Thank you all for the sponsorship. We really appreciate it. So without further ado, because we're on this, we got 15 minutes, let's go. Let me introduce you to Lindsay. She is the CEO of Waywiser. And what's interesting is I was doing research about this event, and I was looking at innovative products, and I came across their product, and I kind of put it aside, and I thought, okay, I'm going to reach out to them. As it turns out, they have been a business member of Austin Up. And we're so excited that you all have been one of our business members for the past year. And it just so happens you have a fabulous product. So we're so happy that you are here. But Lindsay started Waywiser so she could return to her roots in senior living. Waywiser was founded by frustrated caregivers with family members who fell victim to exploitation due to isolation or cognitive and physical health impairments, with personal connections to the caregiving journey. Waywiser's mission is to protect the hard-earned assets, financial independence, and the dignity of people as they age so they can live their best life. We strive to create a world where we can all age with confidence and grace. And Waywiser addresses several gaps within the marketplace that serves older adults, that their primary focus is on coordination across a caregiver's trusted circle with future aspirations to mitigate the financial exploitation epidemic. It is an epidemic, it's terrible, that plagues the older community. Their team has performed extensive research within the caregiving community and recently gained invaluable insight from their own growing community of caregivers, all pointing to the need for a simple platform where information can be shared seamlessly and securely. Easing coordination with a trusted circle of friends and family can reduce the burden felt by those who have been thrust into a caregiving role, while simultaneously enhancing the quality of care that's administered. Waywiser is building a product to not only solve some of the obvious needs that like sharing calendars, lists, and documents, but is also working on comprehensive financial models that will allow caregivers to monitor and manage assets of those under their care. So it's such an unusual product, and I'm so excited for you to explain all about it to our people who are attending here today. And I'm going to go ahead and go off camera and stop my video, but I'll ask you questions at the end if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, looking forward to it. And yeah, so I was going to start by saying, I think it was 2 years ago, I went with my co-founder Tiffany to our first Austin Up Innovation Summit. This was pre-COVID, just as attendees. And then the following year, I think it was last year, we did our first presentation actually at the Innovation Summit. It was all virtual. So what I tried to do with today's presentation is add to that. And we've obviously done a whole lot of work over the last year. So I wanted to give those of you that did attend last year an update while not missing on some of the important stuff that was discussed then as well. So if you want sort of a history on Waywiser, aside from what Cindy just shared, feel free to go visit our website at waywiser.life. What I want to focus on more today and leave time for is more about what the solution is, because it's probably what you all are interested in. We are also live in the Apple App Store as well as Google Play. And so there'll be a QR code at the end of the presentation where if you want to download the application and be a part of our beta user group, you can do that. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and presentation. And then I'll make sure. So I think we have a hard stop at it's 2:45, and I'll try to end a little earlier so we can get to those questions. All right, so everyone at some point in their life will care for someone. There are 42 million unpaid caregivers in the US. I have already been in several caregiving situations myself, both with my mother 2 times, and then also experiencing it through my parents who cared for their parents as well as aunts and uncles. When you become a caregiver for the first time, it could be a slow and steady increase, or it could hit all at once. In my case, it hit all at once. My mom had a knee surgery that didn't go well, and I became her caregiver for a month plus. In my parents' instances, they cared for their older parents, and that was more of a slow and steady increase. Either way, when an incident does happen, you need a solution. And that's really where Waywiser comes in. From my own experience, as well as my parents' experience, and just generally, and at Waywiser, we've been talking to caregivers, and there are so many different roles and responsibilities that a caregiver as an individual can face. And you kind of wake up one day, all of a sudden finding yourself with a new full-time job. And this is in addition to your full-time job. So my mom's knee surgery, for example, was back in June. I flew to Virginia to take care of her for a month. It really was an all-day job. And in addition to that, I was doing my job as a CEO at Waywiser. As a caregiver, different types of roles and responsibilities, which are up on the slide, and this is not exhaustive, could be paying bills, managing budgets, setting investment goals for your loved one, monitoring physical assets, like do they have a car or home, organizing maintenance for their house, managing medical bills, organizing keepsakes. All of these tasks take a lot of time and effort and keep you away from really caring for and loving your loved one. What's more important is having those moments where you're social or spending time with a person. What you don't want to do is have all your time taken up by these roles and responsibilities. If you're lucky, you have family members that can help you. So when I was caring for my mom, for example, my dad was in town and I was hoping that he would help me. What I realized was he was happy to have me there, and he seemed to be at the office a lot more. But what I did do is I tapped into paid caregivers. What I realized though is that it actually takes a lot of coordination and communication, and without the solutions to do that, it can be very cumbersome. So that's really why we created Waywiser. In addition to that, when coordination doesn't go right, so in the case of my parents, they experienced financial exploitation in their family. There was not coordination and communication centered around my grandfather, and that left him vulnerable to financial exploitation. So for us at Waywiser, our mission is really personal. Like Cindy mentioned earlier, we were founded by frustrated caregivers. So each of us as co-founders have experienced in our family some incident of financial exploitation, which really was started because there was some gap in care and coordination that was happening before that. And at one point or another, we each searched for solutions to help us coordinate that care or address the financial exploitation that happened, and we couldn't find anything. So that's really where Waywiser started about 3 years ago. I thought I'd share a little bit about our personal stories. So this is Brian's father-in-law. Brian Stolley is our chairman. So Brian's father-in-law was diagnosed with late-stage Alzheimer's, and his family realized he had been financially exploited more than once. And his father-in-law actually lived near his loved ones. And so this can happen whether or not you're close to your loved one or not, in terms of geographic location. So Brian's father-in-law had a neighbor who convinced him to sell his house at 80% below market value. There was also times where over $10,000 a month was withdrawn and no recollection. In order to fix this situation, his son and wife spent over 80 hours trying to care and get the financial situation in order. In my family, after my grandfather's wife passed away, he decided to stay in Kansas City, and he was very isolated and lonely. He developed a relationship with a woman in Texas who over the course of a year convinced him to wire $250,000. It took my parents 3 years to unwind this. And I was talking to them just the other day and asking them to kind of think about, okay, well, how many actual hours did you spend? And my dad said, between him and my mom, they spent over 450 hours trying to recoup the funds from the financial exploitation. And obviously that created a lot of discomfort between my mom and her dad. Family caregiving is more intense and complex than it ever has been in the past. 75% of caregivers are unpaid family caregivers and spending 24 hours on average a week providing care. When an incident does happen, like I mentioned, it's time consuming, emotionally draining, and takes up a lot of resources. The products that are out there are really fragmented. So you may be able to use one thing for communication, like you may use text message or WhatsApp. There are some credit protection agencies, but nothing's really coordinated in one central place. So it takes even a lot of time with technology to coordinate care or protect against financial exploitation. So what's our solution? So we've developed a mobile app, and we're developing a website that connects those involved in a myriad of different caregiving tasks with a trusted circle, enabling them to coordinate efforts, organize events, tasks, and stay in the loop. Like Cindy mentioned, we also have a lot of different features on the horizon, like a secure document storage, and ultimately protecting against financial fraud and exploitation through financial monitoring. We think of the Trusted Circle really as a team of superheroes. So in our research, we found that fraudsters have a big team behind them. So what do you need as an older adult, or really as any individual? You need a team of people around you. So that's your Trusted Circle. Within our application right now, we have messaging, private and secure shared calendars, tasks and notes, and activity feeds. What I wanted to talk about next was what's on the horizon. So this is our financial protection offering. Some of the features that we'll be releasing in our financial protection tool will allow you to receive a single stream of alerts that can be easily shared with those people in your trusted circle. So for example, if there's a big withdrawal from the bank, the people in your trusted circle would get notified about that, and then you can address it. Intelligent alerts to watch for transactions or patterns that are indicative of fraud. Third parties providing additional monitoring like credit bureaus. And caregivers can access and contribute to a knowledge base of advice and guidance on how to handle instances. Just want to do a quick time check. I've got a few minutes left. I'll go through a couple of these and we'll get to questions. Another feature is account aggregation and reporting. So you can see some illustrations here. Like I said, this is on the horizon. So we're looking to start developing this January onwards. And so on the last slide, when I asked for help, one of the things we're really interested in hearing from you all, or anybody who's been a caregiver in the past, to provide input on what would be useful in these features. Balance and transaction alert. So you can see right on your mobile phone, you can get an alert for someone in your trusted circle if there's been an unusual withdrawal from an ATM. These alerts can then be customized in your account settings, which is the image on the right. So you can see you can get alerts for credit bureau monitoring, new subscriptions, suspicious vendors, or bank alerts. Here's an example of intelligent fraud alerts. So caregivers can receive alerts for suspicious transactions One of the things we'll be doing is building a blacklist of vendors. So people that have been exploitive in the past will provide alerts if those businesses have transactions within someone's account. And how do you bring that all together? So the whole point of the trusted circle is to bring all that important and smart information together into one place. So if you receive an alert, you can share that with other people in your circle, either the older adult, maybe a financial advisor, or someone that's helping handle care for an individual. All right, so how can you help? We have a trusted community content platform called Word to the Wise, which has a lot of great content and articles for anyone interested in aging. We also, like I said, have beta users. So with the QR code on the screen right now, you can download the app. If you are caring for someone with the help of a family or friends, or have been a caregiver in the past, we'd love for you to join one of our focus groups or participate in one-on-one interviews with our product team. So I've put our email on there. And if you're looking for community to join, if you are a caregiver, we also have a Facebook group called Caregiving is Tough.
And that is awesome. You did it right within your time period. It's like speed dating. We're like, we got 15 minutes, let's go. Lindsay, would you be able to share your slides with us, and we'll send them out to all of the attendees? And this last slide, when they pull up the slide, then they should be able to see the scan, and they should be able to scan. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Awesome. And I'm sorry, I do see questions, but we have to go on to the next one. I don't know if you have time. If you could, maybe you could stay until the very end. And then if we have time at the very, very end, we'll go through these questions. But
absolutely, we'll do.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. It seems like an amazing product, and we're so happy that you were able to tell us a little bit more about it today. And we'll include your information too.
Great, thank you.
All right. Dr. Choi, we're going to see if Dr. Choi will come in. And let's see, I think you can just make your video. I'm looking for you over here. I
cannot make my video to show.
Oh, let me see if I can do it. There you are, you did it.
Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Choi, how are you?
Doing well, thank you for inviting me to present.
Great. Well, I'd like to start, if I could, with your bio. So if I could just give me a minute to read your bio so people will know who you are. It's the basic idea of what you're going to be talking about. You are a professor and the Lewis and Ann Wollens Centennial Chair in Gerontology in the University of Texas at Austin, Steve Hicks School of Social Work. You received your MSG or MSW degree from the University of Minnesota and your PhD from the University of California at Berkeley. You also received intensive geriatric mental health research training from 2007 to 2009 at the Advanced Research Institute in Geriatric Mental Health. Your research goal is to improve low income, especially racial and ethnic minorities, older adults' access to mental health services. In collaboration with Meals on Wheels Central Texas and funding support from the National Institute of Health, St. David's Foundation, and the AARP Foundation, Dr. Choi has been implementing randomized clinical trials of effectiveness of tele-delivered depression treatments and prevention intervention for homebound older adults. In collaboration with her colleagues at the University of Manchester, UK, Dr. Choi is also implementing fall prevention program for homebound older adults, utilizing a tablet-based gamified exercise program. Dr. Choi also has areas of research including late life suicide and substance misuse. She has done extensive research on older suicide descendants with respect to physical and mental health problems that contributed to their death by suicide and suicide means. She has also done extensive research on the potential harms of substance misuse among older adults. Dr. Choi is the recipient of the 2021 Gerontologic Society of Americans Maxwell L. Pollock Award for contribution to health aging. And we are so happy to have you here today. Are you in Austin?
Yes, I am in Austin.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit more about your programs that you've been.
Sure. May I share my screen, please?
I would love that. Okay, so you should be able to share. We have set it up where we can share.
You see it now?
You can see it perfectly. Yes.
Okay. So thanks again for giving me a chance to talk about my project. It's really telehealth interventions for depression and loneliness, and should be the for prevention too for homebound older adults. And it is in partnership with Meals on Wheels Central Texas and many other colleagues of mine. I just don't have time to thank them, everyone here. So I'm going to talk about, I have been volunteering for Meals on Wheels since 1994. It was in New York. And I really noticed a lot of depression among homebound older adults. So research shows that homebound older adults are disabled, of course, and they are 2 to 3 times higher rates of depression than their ambulatory age peers. And most of them rely on antidepressant medications, but the preferred treatment is pharmacotherapy plus psychotherapy. Psychotherapy alone could be very, very effective. There is no age difference. However, these homebound older adults are not well served by the existing systems of mental health services because there are multiple system and personal barriers. Excuse me. And another one is geriatric mental health workforce shortages. We don't have enough professional, clinicians to serve all these homebound older adults. And we also need to really integrate mental health services in aging, service agencies, because we need to really reduce the gap, that are really fragmented. All aging services tends to be fragmented. So I really want to see them coming to, together and to be able to more effectively serve homebound older adults. So what do I mean by, the evidence-based psychotherapy in here? So probably you think that there are a lot of people thinking about the psychoanalytic psychotherapy, which is not really evidence-based. So I mean very structured short-term, and it's mostly focusing on here and now. And we have tried 2 different psychotherapy in my project. One is problem-solving therapy. As it says, it's really irrational problem-solving therapy and stress coping skills training. And the second one that I really have found to be very, very effective is behavior activation. That is to give more structure in daily life of these older adults. And we help them plan and engage in activities to accomplish goals that align with their values and beliefs in chosen life areas. So we started doing tele-delivery of these therapy sessions well before COVID-19. Our team was the first one in the United States to provide in-home teletherapy by licensed social workers. And then you can see in here, this is problem-solving therapy. And the blue line is the tele, and then the red line is the in-person. And then you can see between the baseline and 12 weeks where we provided the therapeutic interventions, both were very, very effective. However, the teletherapy tends to have more long-term positive effects. And it was the same in the case of the disability. And so we really found that teletherapy is very, very important. However, as I mentioned earlier, we do not have enough master's level or doctorate level clinicians who can provide psychotherapy for homebound older adults or any older adults. So we tried. Next one. This was the all of my research are funded by the NIH and St. David's Foundation. And we tried tele-behavior activation by lay counselors. That means the BSW, the Bachelors of Social Work, or other BAW, BA level people who are trained in its behavior activation, and they were compared to the tele-PST. I just looked at it by licensed mental health clinicians, and the third group was, of course, just the telephone support. And we found out that they are really effective. And this is actually the picture of our lay provider here, Julieta Camaño, who's bilingual. And this is our real clients. And I combined the two screens in here. This is the video screening. And then, of course, you can see here, the video conferencing is much more effective than telephone because the clients can see not just the therapist or treatment providers, but also the handouts, etc. So we used this to much success. And you can see we published the paper in JAMA, and you can see here the first picture here is the Hamilton rating scale for depression, and that is, as I hypothesized, the lay provider's effectiveness is a little bit less than the licensed mental health clinicians. However, their effectiveness itself is very good. Anybody knows about the effect size? The effect size of the lay counselors were 0.62, which is very, very important and effective interventions. However, if you look at the disability and social engagement and activities and satisfaction with their life, there was no difference between lay counselor provided intervention versus clinician provided intervention. So that's really important. So we tried, how about people, with COVID right now, a lot of people are socially isolated, but this was again in 2017 and 18, well before COVID, we tried to test the behavior activation by lay counselors, by the lay counselors, and we found that who are not the lay counselors for people who are not depressed, but really suffering from loneliness, isolation, and we found it very, very effective. So using that, we are currently doing the integrated tele-BA and fall prevention by the lay coaches or counselors. And we are comparing just tele-BA alone or fall prevention. And the third arm is combined tele-BA with tele-FB, and the last is attention control. So our enrollment goal is 320. We just started, and the funding came through in September. So we are using, and we used that before test this one. This is the really iPad-based fall prevention exercise program, which was developed in UK for the disabled or the adults. And we heard just now last week, the New Zealand, the government approved this as the state approved the exercise program. So that's what we will do. And so if you know anybody who are suffering from depression, please contact me. And we, of course, know that there are some systemic challenges because many low-income homebound older adults do not have high internet subscription because of the high fee. And we, in this case, actually, in our program, we provide the iPad and the Wi-Fi. We loan them, the services, to people during their intervention. And then we, of course, retrieve them and then send it to the next person. But in the real world, we can definitely use All the Americans Act funding for mental health services, because All the Americans Act allows to use or purchase mental health services by aging service agencies. So that's my presentation, and I know that you have some questions and answers here.
We are bumping up into our time period that we need to move on to our next speaker. Natalie, is our next speaker available? Is Jim online? First, I'll check and see if he's online or not. I don't see him.
I don't see him either.
You don't see him either? Okay, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to him. So Dr. Chow, just until he comes on, I would like to ask some of the questions that we have. So one of the first ones is, how can anyone refer older adults with depression to your program? And if so, what is the referral process?
You can actually email me. That's
Okay.
very simple. Yeah.
Okay.
Or if that, or the adults have a case manager or social worker, they can go through them. But you know, my email is probably the fastest one.
May we have your slides to send out to all of the attendees?
I will definitely work on that.
Okay, great. So if you send those to us, I think that it has some good information for people, you know, for the future too. Would you explain a little more about the reciprocal relationship between depression and the falls in older adults?
Sure. Depression and falls are really kind of intertwined. First of all, a lot of the medications that depressed or anxious older adults take, benzodiazepines, for example, and some of the antidepressant medications have the kind of contributed to the likelihood falling. And also depressed older adults don't move around much. And they also have a lot of fear, higher level of fear of falls. And so depression and fear of falls are feeding into each other. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we really emphasize exercise in fall prevention using that, the iPad-based app. So that app, by the way, is freely available. Our team just translated everything into Spanish, and that is also free. You can see in the Apple store, and then you can see the Spanish app with the UT logo in there.
Excellent. Well, Dr. Choi, we are just so appreciative of you coming online and telling us about your program. And we hope that you're able to connect to some other people who can participate in your future programs. So thank you so much for your time, and we're going to move on to the next speaker. Well, hello there, Jim. How are you? You're on mute.
Thanks, sorry about that. So I'm doing very well. Really glad to see you.
You're coming from the Pacific Northwest, is that right?
That's so the Pacific. So I'm in the Silicon Valley area.
Oh, you're in Silicon Valley. Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to start with just doing a brief introduction about you, and then we'll talk about your fabulous new product. So Jim is a serial inventor. He's an entrepreneur, philanthropist, author, speaker, and an energized dad and husband. From 1994 to 2017, Jim founded and co-founded 6 Silicon Valley technology companies, and now has founded his 7th. And I'm going to say it wrong. How do you say it?
Canoe, like kin is in family.
Canoe. Oh, I love that. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, for me, I have to kind of, get it before I can say it. Already receiving awards from the top annual award from AARP Innovation Labs and the CES AR Award. Jim's companies and inventions include fast packeted switching Stratacom co-founder, the Odyssey at Planosphere at Explore Technologies, Leapfrog, heard of Leapfrog for sure, LeapPad, the LiveScribe Smart Pen, and the eye tracking technology iInfluencer. And he recently sold to Google. He holds 56 issued patents, is an Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year, one of MIT's top 150 innovators, and was declared a Father of the Year by the National Father Day Council. Awesome, Jim. He was recognized as a Star Humanitarian Award recipient in the 2018 Rotarian of the Year by Rotary by the Sunrise Rotary. He recently spoke on education and technology to over 30,000 Rotarians and led Rotarian International to adopt virtual reality in a partnership with Google to address peace and polio, setting a world record with over 30,000 simultaneous co-located VR viewers. With a team of Rotarians, Jim recently co-founded the Global Impact Group, a new nonprofit helping organizations adopt technology for social impact. Jim has been on TED Main Stage 2 times, been covered by the New York Times, Washington, yeah, he's like me. I had to read about my company too. I was like, just move on. So he currently is advising Mojo Vision, Foresight Mental Health, and JIB, and is on the boards of advising nonprofits, the Gratitude Network, Team Gleslin, the Global Impact in One Shared World. So without further ado, Jim, welcome to our Innovative Summit for today.
Thanks very much. Hey, do you have a sense of who's in the audience at this point? And
we have a variety. Yeah,
okay.
So we've got both older adults, we have small business owners who are interested in innovative products, we have nonprofits, and we have city employees on too. So a whole variety. And this will also be set up and saved on YouTube, so people will watch it for years to come.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much. Sure. 23 years ago, I sat and watched my 4-year-old and 6-year-old as they were learning to read. And I observed them looking at these black marks on a piece of paper and trying to realize that I try to explain these marks are called letters, and these letters form things called words, and these words make sentences. That doesn't have any meaning to them. And eventually got them to understand that the letters form these little symbols and they make sounds and they have different names. And when you blend these sounds together, you get things like cat and wiggles. And I watched them learn this, and I watched the moment when they realized that what was happening, and they were able to grasp this. But I also realized how hard it was just to use my finger and point at it. And I said, if we could give kids a way to have direct access to this visual information on a piece of paper, not just a screen, but direct piece of paper when you're sitting together reading, that could be something pretty profound. So I took that idea to, at the time, Mike Milken and Mike Wood, who had founded Leapfrog, and I had founded a company to make what's over my shoulder that I'm pointing at right there. This is a sphere. That's an Atlas sphere. It's an interactive globe. And you use a stylus and touch the surface of this 12-inch sphere, and it gives you information about the world. So I said, if we could take that technology, flatten it out, put paper on top of it, and give kids direct access to reading material, sounds, and characters, we could, I thought, revolutionize the way kids learn to read. So took that and created something called a LeapPad. So if you know Leapfrog and the LeapPad, I sold the company to Leapfrog. And there's some imagery back there of the globe, and there's a little model LeapPad. We helped roughly 100 million kids learn to read in the next 5 years. And we figured out how to do this. And it was really about understanding how people feel and the emotional needs they have, and a sense of mastery and control you can give them when they're learning to read. So pursued this, and that was that was, I think, company number 4 or so for me. After that, I did a couple more companies, but now that was 23 years ago. And I watched my children, who incidentally are here. That's about 15 years ago. That's Blake and Annie. And I wrote this book on raising a founder on entrepreneurship as well, that was featured in Forbes magazine. This is about 3 years ago. Okay, 3 years ago. I sold my most recent company to Google, was in Google, and realized I really like startups, and pulled together a group of friends ranging from 50 to about 80 in my living room. And years ago, there was a term, a study in 1995 on the topic of reading called "Why Can't Johnny Read?" If you know about this, and that set the nation afire. Well, I discovered when I was chatting with these friends, there's another problem, and we call it the Johnny problem. And here's the issue. A grandparent is with a young grandchild remotely, and now with COVID happens lots and lots on video chat. And the challenge the grandparent has with their grandchild from 3 to 7 years of age or so is it runs like, "Hey, Johnny, how are you?" "Good." "What are you up to?" "Nothing." And the grandchild runs off, and mom runs after the grandchild with the phone, trying to keep them in the frame. In the meantime, the grandparent just wants nothing more to be able to chat with and talk to this grandchild. They feel guilty. They feel sometimes inadequate. And they express this because I was looking at issues around aging and how we feel as we age. And the other two things they said, look, they need connection. And this was research by Harvard, by AARP as well. You need connection and purpose. So when this all came together and I was looking at this, suddenly the Johnny problem of years ago became a different problem, which is now a problem of how do we provide connection between grandparents and their grandkids that's meaningful, that's really relevant, where they both feel engaged and they both want to participate. So drew from all I'd learned at Leapfrog about how to engage kids and said, wow, what if we could create a system that could allow a grandparent to have fun with their grandchild while they're doing video chat, know that they will do it, be engaged, have both of them feel engaged and look forward to video chatting, and then also allow that grandparent that want to help that grandchild develop, help them with their well-being and development. Think of what this would do for the grandparent aging. Think of what it would do for the child as they look ahead and have memories of things they've done with the grandparent when they're remote. The aid to the parent who now has some assistance at certain times to be free without worrying about screen time, because this is not screen time. American Association of Pediatrics said, hey, if it's visual and it's video, that's very different than single person on a screen. So that was the challenge. What we came up with is this. Said, what if we could take a video chat, we could drop a character into the video chat so that they could play together and facilitate play. And then what if we could allow them to play games together that could be facilitated by the character so they both have fun, and we motivate conversation and dialogue so they have exchanges. In the meantime, the games are fun. They feel as though they're in the same room, literally playing together. And that was the goal. So that was the idea 3 years ago, and proceeded to make it happen. So let me show you what we've created, if I could.
All right.
Okay, I'll share my screen. I've got a mix of some videos, and we'll see how much time we have, but here we go. Can you see this?
Sure can.
Okay, so I'll go to present, and quickly, that was the leap pad that I'd done. These are the companies I did through the years, but let's get right to it. So hop to some videos. First one is this is a 15-second video we showed about 4 months ago on YouTube to see how people on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, see how people respond. This just gives you a teaser of what might happen. So I think you'll enjoy this.
There she is. Okay, let's pick a game, Pippa. We're in outer space.
Okay, just a hint of what could happen in 15 seconds. But let's go on, and I'll show you next a video that's a little over a minute. And this shows the system in operation. This is a produced video we took some time to do. And then what I'll do is step into another one and take it apart, show you what's actually going on if we have time. So here we go.
Family just got a whole lot closer.
Hey, Grampy.
Hey, Zoe.
Wow, it's our garden, Grampy.
Canoe lets you play together even when you're generations apart.
Look, we're making them grow.
Through interactive games,
We sure are, Munchkin.
you can turn ordinary video chat
I got an idea. This is my favorite pitch.
into extraordinary video play.
Ah, that's a home run!
Oh, yeah.
Zoe is a handful. Zoe, come say hi to Grampy.
Hi, Grampy.
Hey, there she is.
With Canoe, everyone feels like they're right there, together.
Got away.
Oh, that's okay. Drop it down again. You're doing great. Yeah, you got it.
Grampy, I just caught a fish.
Boom, there you go.
Turn pages together,
Yay.
learn together,
C-A-T.
Grampy, your turn.
Put this horsey tail right here.
and even bake together.
Go ahead, stir it up.
From living room
Blast off.
all the way,
To the moon! Woo!
no matter how small or big the moment,
There she is. Oh, you need some help, Pumpkin? Use your hammer. Remember how Grampy showed you?
Canoe lets you be present when it matters most.
Oh, there you go. Fantastic. You got that piece off too. Now I see. Hit one more. It's a rooster. Awesome.
Share family moments of love and wonder.
Bye. See you tomorrow, kiddo. I love you.
Don't just stay in touch, stay together with Canoe.
So what you saw there is several things happening. Let me stop sharing just for a moment. I'll come back. So what you saw is a video. Basically, it's video chat like Zoom or like FaceTime, and that's an app you download onto an iPhone or iPad, and you can video chat together. And we offer games that either the adult or the child can launch and play, and they both play together. Additionally, what you saw is a handheld device. I'm holding it up right now that comes with this system, which is optional, but we're including it initially. And this we call a Canoe connector wand. And it's a magical wireless wand that's used by the child as well to allow them to do things that you saw, for instance, baking, stirring together, fishing together, and doing some other fun things. So let me watch time. Please let me know. I know we started a little bit late. If I have a couple minutes more.
You do. And
Okay.
all I want to know is where can I get it and how fast? Because I've got a 4-year-old grandson and I can see the fun with this.
Well, fantastic. Let me show you an answer. I'd be delighted to answer that question. Hold on a second. Let's share it with again. Here we go. Okay. Can you see this?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Oops, it went away.
Oops, let me share again. Here we go.
We have a question. Is it only available on Apple devices?
It's at the moment it's Apple. So we
Okay.
started with Apple, yes. And
And I
so
can
it's-
see that.
Yep, tablets and there we go. So tablets and an iPhone, smartphones, 2017 forward, the last 4 years or so. It may be. How much time do I have?
You honestly, you're at the end of your time.
Okay,
Let's-
then let me skip forward. I'll just jump to it.
Family just
I'm going to skip over. I'll just say all types of, there's a dozen games to start with that are very rich. You can fly to the moon together, do dot to dots together, bake things together, play in some really new ways. There are books that are coming that'll be there soon. I won't take time with these videos. At this point, I'd like to introduce you to Michelle. Michelle is working, but let me jump to the end point, which is here. So go back to this one. We're going to make. Hold on. And one more. There you go. So this is the bottom line. So this is Canoe. It's available online at canoe.com. And here's the most pertinent thing. I arranged for Austin up. So we have so here's what happens. It's a $10 a month subscription. So a year would normally be $129. And the Canoe wand is normally $100. So the combination of the two for our early edition launch, and we're just launching literally this week, will begin shipping in about 3 days. So if you have your orders in, you'll be able to have this. So you get a year subscription and the wand at $99. And we have an Austin Up special discount. So if you use this discount code that I've shown here, Austin Up 10, there's an additional $10 off. And we wanted to make that available to folks that are part of Austin Up and share that with you. And all
That's
kinds of
great.
things, iPhone, iPad, very easy to use. There's a lot, people think, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do that? There's a wand. The wand is for the child, the adult, the grandparent just plays on a video screen, your phone or your tablet, very easy to do. The parent can choose to be there with the child or not let the child play alone. We have many people using this alone. And the stories that come in for our families are extraordinary. Grandparents say it's changed their lives because they now have access to be able to play with their grandkids who want to play with them, who want to keep coming back, and they love it. And it
just seems like an amazing product for both the grandchild and for the grandparent, because they're both getting something from it.
Thank you.
And it is it's very frustrating being far away from loved ones. So being able to have that interaction with them and being able to play with them, just like you're in a room doing a puzzle, just seems amazing. What's the best age for this, do you think, for the child?
Best age is 3 to 7. We have some parents with 2-year-olds and they show them because the 2-year-olds understands cause and effect and they understand and they recognize the grandparent on video. So we have people using it with 2-year-olds. Above 7, we have some of the older kids will play with their younger siblings, but we recommend it for the core is 3 to 7.
And how often do you anticipate updating new games and new books and things like that?
Yeah,
That's kind of
monthly.
your thought.
Pretty much monthly. We'll be rolling out there'll be some big releases. We have things playing around puppets, which are extraordinary, which just the puppet comes alive in your hand, and others where you're just playing both with your fingers. There's a sock matching game, and because it's very relevant to kids, and you both play either competitively or collaboratively, play together and match up socks on a screen and see how fast you can do it, and see what your time was. Being able to do a dot to dot with dogs. But I didn't mention on the adult side, the adult little windows pop up at your discretion or occasionally on our own that give you things to talk about, little things to say, questions to ask, things to do, because not every adult is really comfortable and doesn't know necessarily how to always engage with the grandchild. So between the games, the characters, and the prompts, we've created something that has not existed before. And it's all based upon a lot of learning from Leapfrog and what I and my team had done there. So it's based in real social emotional learning skills and development. And it's the real deal. And we're so excited to just now be launching. It's been quite a year with COVID and the supply chain challenges.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you kept on coming up in articles that I was reading about new and innovative products. And then when you won the AARP award, I thought, oh, we got to beg these guys to come on and tell us more about your products. We're so excited for you. Thank you for giving us a special offer. We did not expect that. And I'm going to go out today and get one. I'm not kidding. I just think this would be a great Christmas gift. It's perfect.
Thank you. I look forward to help make a lot of families really happy in this Christmas and in the coming months, and hopefully bringing another piece of growth and development to kids for the world.
That's awesome. Jim, thank you so much for taking the time today. And if you wouldn't mind, take off your screen.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Well, here are the barns. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. We're big fans because we used LeapPad with our kids.
That's
and
right.
so
I know
we had one of
Long
those.
time ago.
And as I'm watching the kids play, I'm thinking it's like a cross between the old Wii, like playing, golf and bowling. And it's like, the cross between the Wii and all the other game controllers, but just so perfectly matched for the kids. I love that. And the grandparents. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Very fun.
Well, you have another person who's on board with your product. I know, I'm sure millions of people will probably get it.
Be sure hustle fast because you can only ship for another week or so. So you've got to pop in and there's limited supply. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, hello, Kim and Mike Barnes. It's been a couple months since I've seen you all. You've done many presentations for some networking groups that I've been a part of.
Yes.
And I've been reading with great interest your new product. And I thought we got to get the Barnes on here and tell us what they're doing. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and read your bio real quick.
Sure.
So Mike and Kim Barnes are adult children who are caring for their parents as they get older. Over the past few years, they've helped their parents through pacemakers, COVID, pneumonia, Alzheimer's, memory loss, financial scams, surgery, selling houses, and making tough moves into retirement communities. They're also former TV news anchors who are using the reporting skills and passion for caregiving to find important information, share valuable resources, and interview experts who can shed light on tough topics for parenting, aging parents. It's a website and community they founded that brings caregivers together to educate and support them, as well as provide a safe spot to ask questions and even just vent. And who doesn't need to do that?
Yes.
Besides caring for their parents, Kim and Mike love spending time with their children. A 24-year-old son graduated from Texas A&M and a 20-year-old daughter who just graduated from the University of Texas. So you got a little bit of fighting going on football days.
No, they get along.
It's
fine.
very friendly rivalry. Very
Is
friendly
it?
rivalry. Yes. Yeah.
At least in our
no
house.
comment. We could talk all day long about that.
Yes.
Well, we're so excited for you to tell us more about what you guys are doing. So do you have a PowerPoint presentation or
We do.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
ask you questions?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that, and then we can answer questions as well.
Okay, super. So if you want to go ahead and
Quick
get online.
overview.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's all about parenting aging parents, navigating the changes in the stages, because being a caregiver is tough, whether it's in person or from long distance, like it is for Kim and me.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that sometimes we struggle and think, wow, this is really hard. And we have to remember that we've never done this before. We're trying to work in a world that we've never lived. And so we've never been in this stage of life and had our parents be kind of the ones where they've always been the ones taking care of us. Now it's the reverse, and we're having to try to help them through the process.
And now, no matter how prepared you think you are, you're not prepared enough. We found that out, I guess you could say, the hard way.
Absolutely. One of the things that we, that is just inevitable, isn't it? Is this, I love this quote from Rosalind Carter, who says, there are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need a caregiver. And that's one of the things that we realized when we started this group, is that we realized that in most situations, either they've already done it, they're in the middle of it, or they know it's coming.
Yeah. And we're doing it from long distance. Kim's mom lives in Houston. My mom and dad both live in the Dallas area. And my mom has Alzheimer's, and that's been really tough on the entire family as she's gotten worse and worse and worse. And we moved her into memory care back in March. And that's just tough on the whole family, especially my dad, because they've been married for 61 years. So they're not really together anymore, although my dad visits her all the time. But it's tough. And you're trying to figure out, again, how to navigate these tough roads of being a caregiver, especially from long distance, but even in person, it's hard to do.
And my mom lives in Houston, and she is, her husband died a few years ago. So she's by herself and got to a point where she couldn't drive anymore. She'd had eye surgery and wasn't able to drive. And she was so isolated. We felt like being at home by herself, not being able to drive was so isolating. We've gone through the move of getting her to a retirement community, which is where she's very happy and participates in all the stuff. But it certainly hasn't always been easy. There was the moment when she said, "I am never leaving my house." And you think, oh, this is going to be challenging, to where then she all of a sudden just said, "Oh, I need to show you where I'm moving." And I said, "You are? Okay." So there's, those kind of from one end of the spectrum to the other that we go through. And with my mom specifically, we've dealt with a lot of financial issues with getting scammed and having people create accounts in her name and her accidentally giving out her account numbers and things like that have been really, really challenging for us too.
There's just so much involved, whether it's something as big as my dad getting a pacemaker, my dad having COVID pneumonia, my mom being moved to memory care, or as small as their Wi-Fi going out, or not the printer not working and stuff like that. And you're involved with so many different things. So that's why we created Parenting Aging Parents. It started as just a private Facebook group. And we're using our expertise as former TV journalists to have expert interviews to give you an idea of things to ask and things to look for.
Because we've also realized that while there are so many resources and service providers and people out there that help serve in the elder community, if you will, or helping us navigate this, as the adult child, we don't know what they're called. We don't know where they are. We don't know how to find them. And we don't even know the questions to ask. So we also try to provide resources. And the thing that's been so amazing is the community support that we find and that we've created within this private Facebook group, where people can just come together, and it helps you not feel alone. Because a lot of times you think, surely I'm the only person who spent 2 hours on the phone today trying to get one quick answer to what my mom's copays are for her prescriptions. And then you realize, okay, maybe I was the only one for 2 hours, but you realize, oh wait, no, Mike was in the other room talking to his dad about some other things. And if I asked any of my neighbors, they would all many of them would say, oh yeah, I was doing something similar in the middle of my workday while I'm trying to also help my children who are graduating, or maybe I have children still at home. So it's really challenging. So the private Facebook group has been amazing to see the kinds of things that they're able to help each other with, and the kinds of things that they tell us about the group is just amazing.
Yeah, because it's not something you really brag about having problems or difficulties taking care of your aging parents, but people start venting in the Facebook group, and they talk about what they're going through and what they're learning from the group over a very short period of time. It's a blessing. So thank you. Stuff like that. Oxygen for those of us out of breath caregiving. And
it's just those things, because I feel like that you just don't have anybody that you feel like you can talk to about a lot of this stuff. Who else, there was actually a question in the group just today talking about, what are the best adult incontinence products. I mean, that's not something that you necessarily just throw up on your neighborhood Facebook group, right? Or like you ask on your, a Yahoo group, or ask at a networking meeting. But these are all real life things, it just is so we just are so glad to be able to provide this forum. And then we have all of the interviews are up on our website, and we are building that out more to have even more resources as well. But just people who have really just found that this is just, again, it's a life support. It's all people who are going through the same thing and who can really relate exactly to what you're going through.
Yeah.
And so we'd love to see if anybody has questions. I'm wondering, I see somebody in the chat saying that they help care for their mother. Yeah. And it's just anybody can become a part of this. We have people, from all over.
Yeah.
Well, and so interesting, so many businesses stem from our experiences, either with family members. And I'm kind of like in the senior industry. I've been in the industry as a realtor. That's been my specialty for about 15 years. And people would say, I had no idea that there's people doing the things that they do. For example, move management, or, special financial planning, or Medicare, or, figuring out the plans for Medicare and things like that. Yeah. And I liken it to an underground industry, because if you don't need it, you don't know about it.
Right.
So until you need it, then you're like, what the heck? I mean, where do I get help?
Yeah. And then sometimes you find yourself in just a crisis because you just you don't know about that. And I guess in similar ways, it's when you have children, if you don't have kids, you don't worry about what daycare costs or what, some of those things until you're in the midst of it. But with that, we tend to do more planning because we know we're pregnant for 9 months. And so we know that's coming. And so I think that with our parents, oftentimes, you just are sort of thrown into an issue because there is a fall or a diagnosis, and we want to help people so that they feel prepared. So that we can have, what things do we have in place so that we have had these conversations with our parents and we've gone over these things so that hopefully it's not as stressful when it happens.
And there are a lot of things like a will, a power of attorney, a medical directive, stuff like that a lot of people don't have. And if you don't have that, you don't know it until it's too late. And by then, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I was lucky enough that my dad had my mom and dad set up will, power of attorney, medical directive. My sister and I both had them. We were ready for everything. But as my mom's Alzheimer's got worse and worse and worse, we realized that we're looking at memory care places and we're overwhelmed. And even though we seem like we're prepared, we feel like we're prepared, we're not. And that's how so many people are about all kinds of different things, dealing with where my mom and dad going to live. Do they need to live with us? Or are they going to live here? They're going to live in separate places. There's so many questions out there and no one has the exact same answer because you're dealing with all types of different conditions and personalities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it really comes down to trying to, well, you can't anticipate all the different twists and turns. And that's the thing. Like you can say, okay, this is our plan if this happens, but then like a fall happens and the party's over. Because then you're in a wheelchair. And then that changes where you potentially could live. Well, let me ask you some of these other questions. What was the tipping point for you to starting parenting aging parents?
It was my mom. And 2 years ago, my sister and I started looking at memory care places because we talked to my dad and said, Mom's Alzheimer's is getting worse. It's tough on her, but it's really tough on you. We don't want to see both of you leave us before you're supposed to. So we started looking at places. And as we looked, we realized, okay, first of all, we're overwhelmed. And then as we're talking to our dad, because we knew he had to be on board because it's hard to say, okay, goodbye, honey.
He would have gone and sneak her out.
Realized, okay, first of all, we're going to sell their house, even though they lived in independent living. We needed to sell the house so they didn't have to worry about that. But also, it was going to be last October that they were going to move. And my dad put a stop to it and said, nope, let's wait. It means so much for the holidays, but to Mom, we're going to wait till after the holidays. No offense to Mom, but she didn't really know it's the holidays. So it was all mainly about him. So it was going to be on February the 8th, we were going to move her. And on February the 6th, he calls me and says, I'm making an executive decision. We're not going to do it because Mom's birthday is February 22nd. Our anniversary is the 27th. It's going to mean a lot to her. We're going to wait. It's like, oh, okay, Dad. So again, we waited until March the 8th and he was on board. And it was an incredibly tough day for the entire family, but we got her moved. And after that, I talked to Kim and we'd already been talking about it, but Kim realized that the outpouring, not of support, just because, oh my gosh, look what you're going through, but we've been going through something similar.
Right. Or we know we're about to. Yeah. And it made me realize nobody's talking about this. We're all sort of suffering in silence, if you will, because we just don't want to burden our friends with talking about these issues or they just can't relate. And so it feels really lonely that you think you're the only one. And we just felt like, okay, and truthfully, we started it kind of as an experiment, if you will, like, hey, let's just pop up a Facebook group and see what happens and see if there are people who are feeling like they would like that community. And, as of today, we're almost at 2,000 people. And so we have realized that
and we started in April. So.
Right. And, within weeks, we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And we thought, oh, I think there are a lot of people who are in the same boat.
Who need the help, the guidance, the assistance.
Right. It had legs, as we say.
Yes.
Okay. So how does it help people? I think we kind of already talked about that. Is it only a local group?
No,
it is not. Obviously, because we live in Austin and have lived in Austin a long time, there are a lot of Austin people in it, but just, I'm from Houston, he's from Dallas. Plus we both have, know people all over the country. And it's been interesting too, because we have a lot of people who are just finding us that we don't know, we don't have any connection to. And then people are referring their friends and their sisters and their brothers and their
all
cousins
over the country and even a couple of people from outside the country.
Right.
Because again, so many people are going through this. And once they find out about it, they join.
Yeah.
What plans do you have for the future?
Those kind of, not that they change every day. We have big dreams. And Mike would love to see, 1 million people in our community, because we just know that they're, and I've seen statistics. I know the speaker this morning was talking about the number of people who are going to be over 65. There's just a lot of people, and it's going to be becoming even more of an issue as well. And so we, want to continue building out the community, bringing in those people. And also we want to be able to bring in the opportunity to have some special things for some of our people, whether whether it's extra Q&As, because a lot of the topics that we cover, it's kind of high level, but how can we dig in? Can we have a special guide that we've been working on that we're going to be announcing next week that we want to make sure that is available.
Yeah,
and so
we already have support groups. We hope to have webinars in the future, workshops in the future. We hope to get sponsors to help fund everything, because it's going to cost money to get things done. But we think we can build something that's really going to help, again, not just people in Austin, but people all around the country as they're going through similar things of what we're doing.
Oh, we just love it. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I saw somebody in the chat was asking, if you go to parentingagingparents.com, that is where we house all the videos, but it's also, there's a link that takes you directly, you click on it, it takes you right to the Facebook group. We ask just a couple of questions just to make sure you're in the right place, make sure it's a real person to request to join, and that's it.
Yep.
And we just, if you have friends or colleagues, siblings, whoever that you think would be in, either want to start preparing. And we have people that are in there who have said, we have one great example of a friend of ours who joined the group just to be kind of to support us, if you will, back in April. And both of her parents were in fantastic shape. 2 months later, her mom gets a diagnosis, and she was like, oh my gosh, if I hadn't already been part of this group, I don't know what we would have done. And unfortunately, it was a super fast progression, and she's already passed away.
Yeah.
And, she joined because she just wanted to be there and kind of start learning, and it ended up needing to implement all of the things that she was learning and the resources that she was finding.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. It's so nice that you guys are homegrown here. I know you'll probably get lots of new signups. This will be saved on our YouTube channel, so you can point people there too. But thank you again. You've been so gracious for coming on and telling us more about your new and innovative product.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Absolutely.
Parenting aging parents, we say we're all in it together.
Yes, we sure are.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'm going to stop your video. Just do
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. So without further ado, that ends our session today for the Austin, Texas Aging and Innovation Summit. We're so happy that you could be here. We feel like we had a great program. There was a variety of things for a variety of people. We hope that you found it interesting. If you'd like to find out more about Austin Up, you can go to austinup.org, and you can join our mailing list there for our monthly newsletters that we send out. And you can find out about our events for 2022. We're already working on them. We are super excited about bringing more information to our older adults in the city of Austin. Thank you again. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next year. Bye.